Within days of the suicide bombing that killed 7 CIA officers in Afghanistan, an intelligence official vowed that the U.S. would avenge their deaths. Now, that's surprisingly belligerent language from an agency whose main mission is collecting and analyzing intelligence. Joining us now to talk more about the CIA's expanded military role are Jack Rice, a former CIA officer and nationally syndicated talk show host, and Fred Burton, Vice President for Intelligence for Stratfor. He's a former State Department counterterrorism official. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. First, let's start with some news tonight. NBC is reporting that the terror-suicide bomber in this case was actually a Jordanian national and a double agent for al-Qaeda. The CIA was not aware of this. Jack, if we could start with you, what's the significance of this information?
Well, this really highlights just how dangerous it is for the CIA. I think one thing that some people miss is they think about how dangerous it is for those in the military. The difference is frequently is the CIA has to get even closer. They don't have, MRAPs in the way that you'll see from the military, in that they get very, very close because they have to. These are about establishing personal relationships with whoever you have to establish those relationships with. And so the idea that something like this could happen isn't exactly shocking, although it is absolutely tragic.
All right, Fred, there have been a lot of conflicting reports about who this person was, how they got there. Can you give us a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look at how the CIA would begin investigating this now?
Well, there's going to be a lot of lessons learned in this tragedy. And as Jack says, this is a very, very dangerous business, and you're trying to manipulate human behavior. And when you're talking about looking at this source, there's going to be a lot of questions regarding when was the source recruited, what was the exact relationship between the CIA and the Jordanians, how come the individual was not searched for weapons or bombs before he was brought into a secure compound. I know how these things happen in the field. You have a trusted, vetted source, allegedly, and things go bad. And in this business, when things go bad, they're really very tragic.
Tragic, and there's an investigation going on, but at the same time, the CIA has vowed to avenge these deaths. So, Jack, if you would address this, is it unusual for the CIA, which is tasked with intelligence gathering, to promise revenge? Is that sort of a shift in their role?
Well, not really. I mean, if we go back to even the first Gulf War, you started to see it really after that. And I think what happened was there was this failure to connect with the military. And so there was a need to provide more intelligence, but they also became far more muscular after 9/11, the need to actually be out in the field. You take a look at some of the guys who are actually working in Afghanistan for the agency. I'm just back from Afghanistan myself. And one of the things that you're going to see is more sort of paramilitary-like, if you think of it that way. These are not just simply analysts. These are not just people out taking people out to lunch in restaurants. These people are working in some ways hand in glove with the military, and so they look like, sometimes they act like, and frequently they're all former military. So in some ways you can't even make a distinction. The only difference is that their role is to do more than essentially shoot people and blow things up. It's also about actually acquiring pieces of information along the way, which really highlights this sort of expanded role.
Fred, I've heard from folks who are in the field there. I've read statements from agents who say they're deeply concerned that as a result of this attack, there will be new security measures in place that will limit the ability of agents to move freely and gather intelligence as they'd like to in the region. Is that a genuine concern?
Well, I think we have to let the facts come out as to what actually happened. No doubt, having done these kinds of after-action reports, there's going to be a lot of takeaways here. I would not look for any drastic change right away. Clearly, there has been some degree of failure. Why were there so many agency personnel in one source debriefing kind of question? Why wasn't the source screened and so forth? But if you look back on some of the past attacks, whether it be the abduction of William Buckley, the station chief in Beirut, or the killing of the CIA station chief in Athens many years ago, you always learn things when you conduct the after-action investigation to help other clandestine officers do their job better. So unfortunately, usually you need tragedy like this for change to happen, but I have no doubt that the agency will have a lot of takeaways after they have a chance to study this.
All right, we're going to hear a lot more about this in the days to come. Thanks to both of you, gentlemen.
Thank you.